Do you feel like your life is starting to unravel for no reason? Maybe the routines you've always relied on suddenly feel empty, or the people around you don't seem to fit anymore. It's unsettling, isn't it? Like something inside you is shifting, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Here's the truth. This could be your psyche preparing you for a major life shift. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, taught us that before big changes happen, our inner world often feels chaotic, stirring with signs we can't ignore. In this video, we'll explore 5 powerful signs that your psyche is getting ready for a transformation, helping you understand what's happening and how to embrace it. Let's begin with sign 1, feeling unsettled for no clear reason. One of the first signs that your psyche is preparing for a major life shift is a deep, unexplained feeling of being unsettled. You might wake up one day and feel like everything you've known, your routines, your relationships, even your own thoughts, feels foreign, like it doesn't quite fit anymore. It's as if the life you've built, the one you thought made sense, suddenly feels like a pair of shoes you've outgrown. Carl Jung believed this isn't a sign of failure. It's the psyche's way of starting a transformation. He taught us that before any real change can happen, there's often a kind of internal disruption, a shaking up of the familiar to make room for something new. I've seen this so often in the people I've worked with over the years. There was a man named Harold in his early 60s who had spent decades in a steady job he thought he loved. But one day, he woke up feeling restless, like his office was a prison he'd never noticed before. His daily coffee chats with colleagues, once a comfort, felt hollow, and even his own voice sounded unfamiliar to him. At first, he thought something was wrong with him, but Jung would say this is exactly how the psyche begins its work, not with peace, but with a purposeful kind of chaos. That unsettled feeling is your inner world stirring, refusing to let you stay asleep in a life that no longer fits. It's not about something being broken, it's about something needing to break open. You might feel anxious, disconnected, or even a little lost, wondering why you're questioning things you used to accept without a second thought. Maybe your cozy evenings at home, once so comforting, now leave you feeling empty, or the goals you've chased for years don't excite you anymore. This isn't a step backward, it's an invitation to look deeper. The psyche is nudging you, asking you to pay attention to what's been ignored, to the parts of you that are ready to grow beyond the life you've known. So, if you're feeling unsettled for no clear reason, don't push it away. Let yourself sit with it. Even if it's uncomfortable, that restlessness is the first whisper of a transformation waiting to unfold. As your psyche continues to stir, you might start noticing something unusual that points to a deeper change coming your way. Moving on to sign 2, noticing symbols and synchronicities. Carl Jung believed that when a major life shift is near, the unconscious speaks to us in a language of images, dreams, and meaningful coincidences. You might have a vivid dream that feels charged with emotion, one you can't shake when you wake up, like seeing yourself standing at a crossroads or flying over a vast ocean. Or maybe you keep seeing the same number everywhere, on a clock, a license plate, even a receipt, or a song follows you, popping up at just the right moment to stir something inside you. These aren't random, they're signs your psyche is trying to guide you. I once knew a woman named Susan, in her late 50s, who started dreaming of an old childhood home she hadn't thought of in years. Around the same time, She kept running into strangers who mentioned places tied to her past, almost as if the universe was nudging her to revisit something she'd buried. Jung called these synchronicities, moments when the outer world seems to reflect your inner state, whispering truths you're ready to hear. He taught us that the psyche doesn't speak in straight lines. It uses metaphors, like a dream of drowning that might mean your old self is being submerged so a new one can rise, or a vision of flight that hints at a longing for freedom. These symbols bypass your logical mind, slipping past your defenses, to awaken something deeper. You might find yourself drawn to a certain story, a piece of art, or even a memory that surfaces out of nowhere, stirring a feeling you can't quite name. That's your unconscious at work, weaving a story to prepare you for what's coming. Don't dismiss these moments as coincidences. Instead, ask yourself, what do they awaken in me? What do they make me feel? The answers might not come right away, but they'll lead you closer to the change your psyche is orchestrating, helping you see that something bigger is at play. Now that you're tuning into those subtle messages, another sign might be stirring, one that asks you to look deeper within. Now, let's explore sign 3, facing your shadow self. Another powerful sign your psyche is preparing for a major life shift is the emergence of your shadow self, the parts of you that you've kept hidden, often out of fear or shame. Carl Jung taught us that the shadow holds everything we've denied about ourselves, like our anger, guilt, jealousy, or even our creativity and power, because society, family, or we ourselves deemed them unacceptable. When a big transformation is near, the shadow doesn't stay quiet. It demands to be seen. You might notice you're more irritable than usual, reacting to things that once didn't bother you, or old memories you thought were buried come rushing back, making you feel exposed. I've seen this in so many people I've worked with. There was a man named Edward in his early 70s who always prided himself on being calm and agreeable. But as he approached a major career change, he found himself snapping at small things, like a neighbor's comment or a delayed appointment, and memories of past frustrations kept surfacing, leaving him unsettled. At first he thought he was losing control, but Jung would say this is the psyche's way of pushing for integration. The shadow isn't here to shame you, it's here to make you whole. It forces you to face the parts of yourself you've ignored, like the anger you've suppressed to keep the peace, or the creativity you've buried to fit in. This confrontation can feel uncomfortable, even scary, as if an invisible mirror is showing you things you'd rather not see. But it's not a step backward, it's a step toward authenticity. When you face your shadow, you stop projecting your pain onto others and start owning it. That anger you've denied might become clarity, showing you where you need boundaries. That sadness you've hidden might turn into compassion for yourself and others. Jung believed that you can't become whole while rejecting half of who you are. So, if you're feeling raw, exposed, or even a little out of control, don't run from it. Lean in. Your shadow is your teacher, guiding you toward a deeper, more honest version of yourself, ready for the shift that's coming. With your shadow coming into view, you might notice another sign that signals a big change on the horizon. Here's sign 4, experiencing a gradual letting go. As your psyche prepares for a major life shift, you'll likely start experiencing a gradual letting go, a sign that it's time to release what no longer aligns with your true self. Carl Jung understood that before something new can be born, we must make space by letting go of the old, relationships, roles, habits, or even beliefs that once felt like home, but now feel heavy. This isn't a sudden break. It's a slow unfolding, where the things you've clung to start to slip through your fingers, not because you're failing, but because you're outgrowing them. I've seen this in so many people I've worked with. There was a woman named Linda, in her late 60s, who had always been the caretaker in her family, the one everyone turned to. But as she approached a new chapter in her life, she noticed those roles didn't fit anymore. Her kids didn't need her as much, and the constant giving left her drained. At first, she tried to hold on, but the more she did, the more restless she felt. Jung would say this is the psyche at work, asking you to release what's no longer alive in your life. You might notice that a friendship you've cherished starts to feel one-sided, or a goal you've chased for years no longer excites you. Maybe the hobbies that once brought you joy now feel like a chore, or the way you've defined yourself as the helper, the worker, the planner, doesn't resonate anymore. This letting go can bring a quiet grief, not just for what you're losing, but for the time you spent trying to make it work, the parts of yourself you quieted to hold on. But Jung taught us that what's truly yours, what aligns with your deepest essence, can't be taken away. Only what's out of alignment will fall away. This process isn't punishment, it's purification, clearing the way for a new beginning. So if you feel things slipping away, don't cling tighter. Let them go, even if it's hard. That space you're creating is where your transformation will take root. Now that you're making space for what's new, there's one final sign that shows your psyche is guiding you towards something profound. Finally, let's wrap up with sign 5, listening to your inner silence. The final sign your psyche is preparing for a major life shift is a call to listen to your inner silence, a stillness that becomes a doorway to your true self. Carl Jung believed that when transformation is near, the noise of the outside world fades, and you're drawn into a quiet space where you can hear the deeper voice within. This isn't just the absence of sound, it's a sacred presence, a place where your soul speaks. You might find yourself pulling back from distractions, social events, endless scrolling, or even conversations that once kept you busy, because they no longer satisfy. I've seen this in so many people I've worked with. There was a man named Walter in his early 60s who always filled his days with activity to avoid feeling alone. But as he approached a new chapter, he found himself craving quiet moments, sitting on his porch with a cup of coffee, just listening to his thoughts. At first he resisted, but Jung would say, this is the psyche inviting you to hear what's been waiting beneath the surface. In this silence, you start to notice things you've ignored, the ways you've dimmed your light to fit in, the dreams you've buried to feel safe. But you also rediscover something beautiful, the parts of you that are still alive, longing to be expressed. Maybe it's a memory of a passion you let go of, like painting or writing, or a quiet knowing that you're ready for something new. This inner voice doesn't shout, it whispers, guiding you toward a life that feels more like you. If you're feeling drawn to stillness, don't fight it. Let yourself sit in that quiet, even for a few minutes each day. Ask yourself, what do I hear when the noise fades? The answers might come slowly, but they'll lead you to a transformation that's been waiting to unfold, a shift into a life that's truly yours. Your psyche always knows when it's time for a major life shift, and these 5 signs: feeling unsettled, noticing symbols, facing your shadow, letting go, and listening to your inner silence are its way of guiding you. Carl Jung taught us that transformation isn't easy, but it's sacred, a journey to uncover your true self. If you're feeling the stirrings of change, don't be afraid. Trust the process, even when it feels like chaos, because it's leading you to a life that aligns with your deepest essence. Start small. Maybe today, take a quiet moment to listen to your inner voice, or let go of one thing that no longer feels right. You'll be amazed at what begins to unfold. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share which sign resonated with you most, or how you're navigating your own shift. If this video spoke to you, give it a like and subscribe to Ageless Philosophies for more insights to guide you on your journey. Here's to embracing the transformation your soul has been waiting for.